You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for being with us here on 702. I hope you are well this morning, that your morning is going well so far. So, do you know that you can now watch this show on YouTube live and not just hear us? Go over to our YouTube channel right now on 702 if you're able to, if you want to actually watch the proceedings in not Parliament. You know, earlier when I spoke to Bongani, I said, we, referring to members of Parliament. Maybe I'm preparing to venture into politics. No, I'm not. If you want to watch what is happening in studio right now, you can go on to our YouTube channel and you can actually watch me right now. I'm actually waving at one of the cameras here in studio. We've got about 4 cameras, 6 cameras. We've got 6 cameras in studio that give you just different angles. And you'll see Abel as well, the Abel that I talk about all the time. So go on to 702 YouTube channel. If you want to watch the interviews, we'll have guests in studio. You don't have to wait for us to upload the YouTube video. You can actually just see that live if you want to watch this as you're listening to it. The open line starts now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. What is going to happen in Parliament today? My goodness. Yesterday we spent some time trying to explain to you what the process is in as far as the budget is concerned. And what the Finance Committee has to process. But things took a turn yesterday when the DA and the ANC couldn't find a deal, and Action SA made a proposal. A proposal that involves the removal of the tax increase. But it's only a recommendation and not an amendment of the fiscal framework. So Action SA's goal is still far from being achieved. Because to stop the VAT increase, if you want to stop the VAT increase from taking effect on the 1st of May, a new rules amendment bill must be passed by Parliament before that date. And we don't have a lot of time. There's only about, 29-30 days left. In terms of the law, the Finance Minister, Enoch Kotongwana, must actually be given about 2 days to respond to any proposed amendment of the fiscal framework by the committee. This would require then a postponement of the scheduled vote in the National Assembly today. Because otherwise, what are you voting for? If the amendments, the Finance Minister has not come back with a response to what the committee has discussed. So there must be a law that annuls the announcement of VAT. Otherwise, it's going to take effect as announced by the minister. And what happened in Parliament yesterday, which is why the EFF, you've heard in Eyewitness News, the EFF has now written to the Speaker of Parliament, and they want the Speaker to withdraw the fiscal framework report that was adopted yesterday. And one of the things they're raising is that it contains language that was actually inserted after the committee had already adopted it. So they're raising a number of issues around how incoherent that report is. And one of the issues that are central there is that the Finance Committee by law is actually required to either accept or amend the fiscal framework. There's no legislative provision for conditional acceptance. In other words, the parties can't say, oh yeah, we accept this fiscal framework with the condition that the minister will come back and. Either you make those amendments that are proposed there and adopt that, or you accept the fiscal framework as it is. And that's what the EFF has concerns about. So what we'll do between 10 and 11 o'clock is try make it make sense. What happened last night and what does it actually mean for today's vote? And what does it mean for the DA in the GNU? I was speaking to some of the ANC members of parliament last night who were in that caucus meeting that started just after 8:30 in the evening. And the president was clear in that caucus that, well, the ball is in the DA's court. If they don't vote for this budget, they might as well say bye-bye to the GNU, because they're essentially kicking themselves out of the GNU. They're not being pushed out. They're kicking themselves out. So what do you think the DA's approach should be here? I wonder. Action SA is already readying itself to serve in government. I'll play you a clip of Herman Mashaba last night on SABC when he said, we are ready. We've got people that are capable to be ministers. So are we just about to see the reconfiguration of the GNU? Today is going to be telling. It's going to really help us understand. Whatever the proceedings at 2 p.m. in Parliament will help us understand what will mean, what this GNU and what form this GNU is actually going to take. By the way, Fihla Mbalula, the Secretary General of the ANC, held a briefing yesterday. I don't know if you heard what he said about the 0.5% VAT increase. He said it won't be a permanent one. It will be withdrawn when the economy improves. My goodness.
The only issue in terms of the budget has been the question of VAT. And we have always argued as the ANC that right from the onset, when Treasury came up with 2%, we did not agree. We did not agree, but we ran out of options in terms of what we need to do, except to cushion us to have a 0% intervention, which is not permanent. As our economic situation increases, it not increases, our economic situation is perfected. This 0% is not permanent, will be withdrawn. And then also, there's a whole lot of other things on the basket that have been addressed going forward. Even the spending, those issues, President put them long before us that they need to be addressed. The DA raises that particular issue. We say, but it has already been addressed. Some of the issues that have been addressed do not belong to the budget now. We need to engage on them, but people want agreement that there should be guarantees that these matters will be addressed.
So that's Fihla Mbalula talking about how this VAT increase won't be a permanent one. Oh my goodness. Isn't this exactly what the ANC did in 2018? Remember back in 2018 when they took that decision of increasing VAT for the very first time ever? And they kept saying the Treasury would review it. This increase from 14% at the time to 15% within 3 years. And now, how many years is it now since 2018? Is it 6-7 years later? We are getting another VAT increase. Well, at least that's what they had proposed. That's what they've proposed. And someone was reminded me of just the lies of politicians. How do you know politicians are lying? How do you know politicians are lying? When their lips start moving. I always think about that.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
How often have we complained about potholes? How many times have we complained about the financial cost on us as a result of potholes? Now we're talking about the cost to life. There's a motorbike delivery driver that died in Northriding this week on Monday after a vehicle in front of him allegedly hit the brakes in a bid to avoid a huge pothole on Blandford Road in Northriding. I've seen that pothole myself. Now there's someone who has died. And according to the community member the Johannesburg Roads Agency actually had been there to fix some of the potholes in the area. But there was challenges with this specific one. It was so big. And they came to actually fix it hours after the accident, according to community members. So what I want us to do now quickly is to bring in different people here who will help us understand what really transpired here. So I want to start off first with Zweli. In fact, before I go to Zweli Nyathi, let me start with Xolani Fihla, who is the spokesperson for JMPD. And then I'm going to bring in the Johannesburg Roads Agency CEO. I'll bring in a councillor around that area as well. Xolani, we'll start with you. Thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity, and let me also greet the listeners.
Yeah. What do you understand happened about this incident on Blandford Road on Monday?
Yes, we can confirm that unfortunately a fatal accident occurred. It's on that specific road called Blandford Road between Ascot Avenue and Hyperion Drive in Northriding. The incident happened on Monday evening, and it involved 3 vehicles. It's a silver Toyota Starlet and a big boy motorcycle, and the third vehicle was a Suzuki Swift. And from the preliminary information that we did receive, and from when our accident unit officer was attending to the accident, it is alleged that the Toyota Starlet and the big boy motorcycle were traveling north on Blandford Road, and then the Toyota being slowed down due to a large pothole in the roadway, and then the motorcycle trying to avoid the vehicle in front clipped the rear of the Toyota and collided with the Suzuki Swift, which was traveling on the southern side of Blandford Road. And unfortunately, from that accident, the driver of the big boy motorcycle then sustained fatal injuries and was declared deceased on the scene.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Xolani, for that. I wanted Xolani to come and confirm the incident and help us understand what happened. That's the spokesperson for JMPD. Now, Ralf Bittkau is the councillor for Ward 101 in Johannesburg, around that area, joining us also on the line. Ralf, thank you for also making time. My understanding is that as the community around that area has been complaining about that pothole for a while now.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners. Yes, not only the community and me, we've been escalating the potholes not only in Northriding, but also in Northwold, in Bromhof, my entire ward. There's a total lack of service delivery as far as pothole repairs and it's service delivery right through, but this is now becoming an issue goes beyond anything. We are now losing lives because of the lack of service delivery, and we cannot have that.
Mm.
That is totally out of the question. Well, I've been onto JRA. They've been promising me, we're coming, and they don't come. We were promised on Monday that they would have a team on President Fouchier, which is another major road in the area that is exploding at the moment because of groundwater pushing up the tarmac. It's also impossible. And they did a temporary sort of repair job over the weekend and then said, we'll be there on Monday. Well, nobody's seen them. I could imagine that maybe they were there and they're now designing what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple design. You've got to make sure that you put a drain across the road and pipe under the road, and you put a drain in catching the groundwater.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing fancy about it. I mean, I've been in contracting for 55 odd years. I've built roads. And I've advised them numerous times on exactly what to do. They agree with me, and then nothing happens, or they do a half job.
So after this incident, Ralf, what happened? Did they come to fix that pothole?
Oh, the very next morning, first thing, they were there and they fixed the pothole. And they only did that pothole, and they buggered off again. They did nothing else. Which tells me, what are we trying to cover up? I mean, come on, guys, really.
Yeah.
We cannot live like this. This is, I mean, really, the way that the whole city is degenerating as far as infrastructure is concerned. What really has to happen now is that with the new budget, they're coming in and getting before the council. What should be happening is that they say, you know what, we cut all the other budgets and we've got 84 billion. Fantastic. Let's take 60 billion and put it into infrastructure, into Joburg Water, into city power, and into JRA for the roads.
Yeah, listen, I spoke to the mayor of Johannesburg last night and I asked him about the budget on infrastructure maintenance, and he said, yeah, we need to raise it to about 7-8% and take it from the lower 4% or so. And I thought, yeah, but the budget on maintenance has always been incredibly low. That doesn't make sense. If you know that you've got infrastructure that has to be maintained in order for it to function well, why would you budget so less on it? Doesn't make sense. And then you want to complain much later on when we're starting to experience issues. Ralf, let me thank you for coming through. Ralf Bittkau, who is a councillor for Ward 101 in Johannesburg. Let's bring in Zweli Nyathi now, who's the JRA CEO. Mr. Nyathi, thank you for making time for us as well. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to the listeners.
We've been complaining as the residents of the city about the cost financially as a result of these potholes. Now we're talking about the cost to life.
Yes. Thanks, Clement. I think I'm very much aware of the situation. And I just want to say we as JRA are doing our best to sort it out. So first and foremost, I think the rain really disturbed the program. I'm sitting with a list of streets here that are being repaired in that particular area. That at least one can go and testify that we've been dealing with that area. I know Ralf, the councillor, we have spoken. We've had good conversations around the area and what we're going to do. So now that it's not raining anymore, there's no excuses. But it is incorrect to say we worked on Saturday and then accident happened, we went in the morning. In the morning, there was no rain and work continued. And unfortunately, in the last 3-4 weeks, that's what happens. Heavy rains, potholes comes up, and then we try to work, and then it rains, we have to stop. So we've been doing our best, really. Yes, I understand the infrastructure is deteriorating, and as JRA, I came to your station and say, now we're even starting to resurface roads instead of just patching. That will give it a longer lifespan. We have an asphalt plant that we opened, and it's giving us more asphalt to do the work.
Yeah.
I know that in other areas they want to take the work into their hands. Not everyone is an engineer. Should they do a poor quality road, if they take things into their hands, liability will come back to JRA. We urge to communities that if there are issues, they must escalate. I can be held liable as the accounting officer of the entity, but it is incorrect to say that we are not doing anything. There's plans as we speak. There are teams on the ground, but the rain really delayed the progress. Instead, it created more potholes in an infrastructure that is already tired.
Yeah.
That's the problem we're dealing with right now.
So who takes account? I mean, I'm just thinking, Mr. Nyathi, there is someone who has died here. There's someone who has lost his life because of a pothole. That is not okay. And this is, if this is someone who's possibly been paying their rates, that can't be life for the people of Johannesburg. They're losing so much money trying to fix their tires. I myself had an experience, and almost a terrible accident last night driving, and I was trying to swerve because there was a pothole that was also covered by water. I couldn't see. I could have been involved in an accident. So the point I'm trying to make is this is now reaching, it's been a crisis, and now we have to be concerned about how we could possibly lose our lives because of the potholes in the city. That cannot be life.
I fully agree with you, Clement. I'm also a victim of that. But here's the issue. As you might have seen, even on Monday, we had the provincial government trying to also intervene and see how they can assist us is we are really working hard to try and deal with the situation, but we're dealing with an old situation. And I understand the frustration from the councillor because he's been talking about these things and nothing really happened in the past, or it was not adequate. I can say that, the incident is really a sad one, but we also need to look into the report as well, because from my peers or colleagues there, I think, the car that was in front slammed the brake and the distance was not even that much. So hence, that accident happened. But I'm not making an excuse for JRA, and I'm not making an excuse for us as the city of Johannesburg. All we're saying is the work will be visible now that it's not raining. And I urge all the citizens, wherever they need to prioritize, we cannot refill the entire city overnight, but wherever there's life-threatening issues and urgent matters, we'll deploy our team accordingly, because we have regional teams. As I'm saying, it's sunny now. We have no excuse to make. We have asphalt. We have teams ready to do what they need to do.
Have you fixed this particular pothole that caused this deadly accident?
It was fixed. It was part of the plan. Actually, when the accident happened, work has already resumed in that particular area. I can confirm that. So they had to stop because of the weather conditions. And unfortunately, a life was lost. But they continued with the work. Even now, they are in the area as we speak on other streets. They gave me a whole list of streets that they are doing this week around that area.
All right. Zweli Nyathi, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming through. That's the JRA CEO. I don't know what cost have you experienced as a result of the potholes? What has been the cost to you? We've been complaining about the financial cost. We're spending so much money trying to fix our tires. Now we're dealing with a life-threatening situation. It's not just about you possibly hitting a pothole and then you possibly have to change your tires. Now we're talking about potholes that are a danger to your own life, where you can die. That's how big the potholes are in the city. That cannot be life. There are people that are paying their rates. For what? And we're constantly told it's a maintenance issue. How? This has always been their justification or their explanation for so many years. It's a maintenance issue. And yet the budget on maintenance is low. If it's a maintenance issue and you realize you need more money to maintain the infrastructure that you as an administration has failed to maintain over the years, why are you not increasing that budget? What's been your cost? Has it been financial? What's been your cost as a result of these potholes in the city? I'll go to your calls and WhatsApps after this latest and Eyewitness News headlines. It's 9:31.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Morning 702 listeners. So we stay in Marfontein area in an estate where for some unknown reason the main roads fall under the municipality, and they are atrocious. They were literally falling apart. Potholes, crumbling, falling apart. This has been escalated. The ward councillor, everyone comes in. Sorry, there is no budget. The only alternative was that the residents who pay astronomical rates and taxes, in excess of 5,000-6,000 rand a month, right, have to pay additional levies to the municipality because we cannot fix it privately because it's against the law to get these roads fixed. So what? What do we actually pay these rates and taxes for? And I've said it time and time again, the only way they are going to actually stop this theft and sit up is if everybody, millions of people, stop paying rates and taxes, because there is zero service delivery. In the same estate, try to find a working street light.
Clement, just on that issue of potholes and JRA, I'm staying in a suburb called Portview, in the west of Johannesburg. I think we are paying rates in excess of 6,000 or 7,000 rand a month, and the street we live in, I mean, it's worse than streets in most areas in Johannesburg that pay less rates. You know, the streets are so bad, and we're expected to comply with the rates every month. I mean, it's just crazy. KG here.
Yeah, it is crazy, KG. It really, really is crazy. Tabang, you calling us from Rustenburg. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Clement, my car is sitting at the tunnel with charge now as we speak because somebody was avoiding a pothole and they just came to my side of the
Sure.
the vehicle, and they was actually coming for my driver's door, and I outside the road and it hit the back of my body. The bike is at the tunnel with charge as we speak.
Yo,
Very
Tabang.
bad.
It is terrible.
Very bad.
So many incidents. Yeah. I'm so glad that you're safe, Tabang, and all the best. You had the panel beaters. That's going to cost you a lot of money. I was in that situation myself last night when I was leaving work. I had to swerve to the right, and as I was swerving to the right, there's a car that was coming through, and that car had to swerve as well to avoid impact. That's what many of us are experiencing on our roads. So we're not now just worried about, I may actually have to, pay more money to fix my car, to fix and get new tires. Now you're worried about someone in front of you may not see it. Someone in front of you or who's driving opposite you may have to swerve and there may be impact. That's where we are. Potholes in the city are life-threatening. Joe, you're in Rustenburg. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Right. Look, I think that guy, if he's a civil engineer, he should be coming with a solution. He should know that rain shouldn't matter. The issue, I think it's a very flimsy excuse to say it is raining, waiting for the rain to stop. An engineer is trained to develop solutions irrespective of what the weather conditions are. I think what he's saying, I heard even the mayor yesterday saying the same thing on your other show. It shouldn't be an excuse. And to leave the budget in terms of operational budget of maintenance, 6% is less than a quarter what is required. You require 20% for each cost of the project. I think all what they're doing is just a very good excuse to avoid maybe an interview and then just leave it as it is, and the situation will continue. And if you look at their budget, bulk of their costs in terms of the budget goes to, I think it's about close to 80% goes to salaries, and which is a huge problem because if you can have 3 engineers, they can literally assess all these roads and tell what the condition. And a pothole is never designed meant to be patched. A pothole tells you that the road has gone beyond its lifetime. So what do? You start preparing in terms of the resurfacing with certain specifics. All what they're telling you is just hogwash.
Joe, in Rustenburg, thank you so much for your contribution. Sean, you're in Randburg. Go ahead. Good morning. Sean, the line there, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you're in the rain, so we're going to try and re-establish that. In the meantime, let's go to some WhatsApp voice notes on 0727021702.
Good morning, Clem. Kodila here. For me, it's really frustrating, especially with people who live in townships. The roads in townships are not taken care of. Just the other week where I stay currently in Kliptown, the roads are so bad and someone had to be taken to hospital. The car that was taking that person to the hospital had to wait for that person in a further corner because the road is so bad they can't even drive in, and people had to help the person to get to the car. It's really frustrating that simple things like this, organizations like the JRA are not taking care of the roads, especially in townships, and they have to react when something like an accident happens. It's sad.
You know, Clement, the weirdest thing is that there were guys fixing potholes here in Pretoria East. And then they'll be fixing the smallest potholes, the smallest ones. They'll fix here 100 meters, they'll skip the big one. Then drive 100 meters, fix a small one. Drive another 100 meters, skip the big one. Drive 100 meters, fix the small one. And then yesterday evening, 2 cars got into an accident when one guy braked when he saw the pothole. Luckily, nobody was injured, you know.
Hi, Clement. No, this is wrong. You know what these guys do? Anyway, good morning, Clement, and the listeners. You know what these guys do? When they fill up a pothole, they come and put sand on that hole. And after they put sand on that hole, and they just cover it with a small layer of the tar. That's not going to be strong for rain. You need to put the tar all the way from the bottom. They need to do it properly. They're not doing it properly. These potholes persist. They do it in our neighborhood every day. They do the same pothole every day non-stop. It's not going to work like that. They are not doing quality job. They're doing poor job all the time. So what he's telling is an excuse.
Yeah, Saul, you are in Highlands North. Good morning.
Yeah, Clem, I was listening to your interview with the guy from JRA. And I've got experience from council, having been on council for many years. And the big problem is, first of all, there's no supervision when work is done on the roads, fixing potholes. But a bigger problem is that you have entities like JHB Ward, etc., digging up the road and then leaving it there, which causes a major problem, more than just potholes, because they can take up half the road. I've got experience because I keep on reporting these things and emailing the relevant person and persons, and nothing gets done, or it can take up to 6 months to get one problem sorted out. I mean, there's a street in Parkwood that's been 2 years that the whole street needs refixing because of the road being dug up, and nothing has been done, etc., etc. There's definitely no supervision. There's no adherence. And probably, as somebody said, there's no budgets to sort it out. But more importantly, Joburg Road's supposed to send out inspectors in their areas and check all the various roads on what condition they are. That's not happening. It hasn't happened for years.
Yeah, so
and I'll leave you with this note. You know, the a country can only survive economically if its roads are able to move services and goods around. And our roads in Joburg definitely doesn't fit that profile.
I agree with you. I remember emceeing a conference. I think it was, there were a number of stakeholders there, including Sandral, including some stakeholders on the continent, and they were talking about how roads that's actually the preferred mode of transport for business transactions. Like, a lot of people actually do that on the roads. They, in between the different countries on the continent. So if you're not fixing these roads, there is going to be an impact on the economy. There's going to be an impact on business arrangements. So it's not just lives we're concerned about. There's a man who's now died because of a pothole. There's a man who has died because they were in an accident. Someone was trying to swerve and avoid a huge pothole on Blandford Road in Northriding. It's a pile-up. A delivery driver is now dead. That cannot be life. It cannot be life. How many times are we going to wait for 6 more to die before the city of Johannesburg is actually going to take it upon itself to increase that budget on maintenance and speed up the process of fixing potholes, which are almost everywhere in and around Johannesburg? Cargo says, Clement, I replaced 5 run-flat tires in a period of a year due to potholes. That cost me about 3,500 Rand and 3,800 per tire plus VAT. It's absolutely ridiculous. The poor are getting poorer every day because of government incompetence. Another one says, Clement, there's a pothole in Kudu Avenue in Allen's Neck that is going to cause a major accident. It's growing larger every day, and cars going towards Clearwater Mall have to swerve into oncoming traffic to avoid it. That's a message from Ntlantla. Another message says, this one says, yo, Clement, I'm watching you and Abel there. That pen that you have, did you eat that lid? Poor lid, Shem. Thanks for the great show. Well, thanks to you, Anonymous. Please leave my pen alone. Yeah, when I'm hosting the show, I need to hold something. So, if you're watching, this is the pen that I actually hold when I'm broadcasting and talking, and I do often eat the lid. I do eat the lid. It's almost done. So, if you've just joined us, I was telling the listeners earlier on that we are broadcasting. Now you can actually watch us on YouTube. So as we broadcast the show, if you are able to do that, you can go on YouTube, go to the 702 YouTube page, and you can watch the show as it broadcasts live, and you can even see the guests as they come in. We've got about 6 cameras in studio that are giving you all the different angles. So that's an option for you. Let's go back to your WhatsApps.
Good day, Clement. Good day, 702. And that's Abraham in Florida. Clement, I think if people really could transfer the cost to JRA and any other municipality, Ekurhuleni, for not fixing the potholes and the damage that comes with. I've witnessed a case here in, I think it's Industria, where a car literally hit a pothole and the whole pool and arm went out. The car was damaged badly. Fortunately, the guy was still alive. So I just wanted to know if there is, you can find out if there is a channel that people can transfer the cost, or where we can claim from City of Johannesburg in this case for the cost that we incur with hitting potholes. Thanks, Clement. Great show, by the way.
Good morning, Clement. You know, when people like to make excuses of how they are failing to do or give people services, okay, they will hide behind the rains that we have been having. Okay, now the winter season is coming. There won't be any rain. Let's see if they will be able to finish covering up those potholes. Then we'll have another conversation, because excuses. That's all we hear every day.
Hi, Clement. You're speaking of potholes, guys. My condolences to the life that was lost. But you know, like, I don't know if it was last year, but a couple of months ago, it was on John Perlman's show, I think. There's a guy that kind of sustained injuries, was in hospital. This was in Northwest. They actually sued the government, put them responsible for that pothole thing. And he actually won the case. I mean, wow. Now we lost their life. This is not right, guys. I mean, even myself, I'm affected by potholes, but hey, what can we do? I get the advantage that I know the road, so I know where the pothole is. And you drive with Waze, so that helps you identify where the potholes are. But thanks for a good show. Bakang from Centurion.
Yeah, Bakang. I'm actually receiving a number of pictures here on the WhatsApp line of people who are showing me how damaged their cars are. There are people sending us pictures of how damaged their cars are. There's a car that's hit a tree, and that's the cost, because people are trying to avoid potholes that are everywhere, almost on our streets. Listen to what the mayor of Johannesburg said. This is the mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero. And I was asking him about what President Cyril Ramaphosa said when he raised unhappiness about the state of the city, the potholes, the traffic lights that are not working, the city that is not clean. And basically the mayor said when the president called him and raised these concerns, there was actually a quick reaction from the city to address the issues. And I actually asked him, why does it have to take a president to raise the issue that the citizens of Johannesburg have been raising for so long, for the city to address those issues? Why does it have to take the president to say, I'm not happy with the state of the city, for them to go and amass resources and say, we're going to react quickly? That's not a city that cares about its citizens. That's a city that cares about the head of state. And that's not correct. That's not okay.
frankly, he actually called me on the day before, on the day that he did the walkabout at the venue, and said, these are the concerns I have. And immediately went into the administration and said, guys, what's happening? And everybody had to put resources together. And I think the city was caught not ready at that point. I think the administration had overlooked some of the important issues. I think the thinking has always been maybe it's coming a bit later, only to find there was a meeting of foreign ministers coming on that day. And I think there was a quick reaction from the city to address the issues that needed to address.
Did it have to take the president though to come and raise that? Because South Africans complain every single day about the state of our roads, about traffic lights that are not working. So if you can manage and amass resources when the president raises a concern, why can't you do the same when the people of Johannesburg do?
We are doing exactly that, Clement. You are aware that for a month now we've been in the CBD, trying to unlock the CBD, trying to reclaim it back. We are focusing.
That's what the mayor was saying, right? That's what the mayor was saying about how they were able to respond quickly as the city. And it's the same conversation I had with him about the so-called G20 routes. Well, he ended up saying there was a matter of language. I mean, but you and I know what they meant by that, right? It's the same thing, that there's somehow a prioritization of things when there are visitors coming or when there's a president who's raising the issue. What about us who are the citizens of Johannesburg? What about us who are paying rates and are saying, these are the services we deserve, not even the services we want. These are the services we deserve because we're actually paying for them. We are paying. So we deserve it. You're not doing us a favor, but there has to be a president who comes and complains. There's got to be visitors who are coming from other countries for the very issues that we've been raising for so long to now be addressed. That cannot be the way. Len says on the WhatsApp line, Clement, I lost a tire, run flat over the weekend. I don't have faith, even in the Johannesburg mayor. I'm so upset, but it is what it is. That's a message there from Len. Someone else commenting on what Fihla Mbalula said earlier says, Fihla says the 0.5% is temporary. That's a lie. It will not be a temporary, but permanent. The ANCs are masters at being untruthful. That's Lee in Alberton. And then another one says, Clement, regarding that VAT issue, I'm wondering if it's just me. Maybe I missed it, but where is the voice of COSATU, NUM, and other civil society groups? What about Save SA? It just feels like we are at a mercy of political parties. What can I do as an ordinary citizen to show disgust to this, to these issues? VAT is going up. We can't keep accepting these things and protesting on social media. Well, Leo, the COSATU has been speaking. The NUM has been speaking. All these stakeholders you're mentioning, they've done a number of interviews, just talking about how they do not, even after the budget was presented by the finance minister last month, they said, we don't agree with that. They don't. But hey, let's wait and see what happens in Parliament today at 2 p.m. Maybe this proposal or recommendation that Action SA put up that was supported by the ANC and the IFP, maybe that's going to spur up the finance minister to come up with other options that doesn't include VAT. Who knows? If that happens, that will be a victory for you and I as South Africans. God knows we cannot afford another VAT increase in this economy. In fact, that's a conversation we're going to have in the second hour. I'm going to bring in the different parties there in Parliament so we can get a sense of where they stand, explain to us what happened yesterday and what it actually means in as far as VAT is concerned. It's 2 minutes now before 10 o'clock.